Listen, when a family goes online to drag their own blood, the whole internet stops breathing. But what Towanda Braxton and her husband Shaun did this time, it wasn't shade. It wasn't petty. It was a full-on spiritual assassination attempt, broadcasted live in front of thousands. And at the center of their attack, the woman they've blamed for decades, the woman they've twisted into the villain, the woman whose shoulders carried their family brand for years, Tamar Braxton. Tonight isn't about rumors. Tonight is about the truth behind that live. The truth Towanda and Shaun hoped no one would notice. The truth they tried to bury under vibration, frequency, and positive energy. Because when the smoke cleared, everyone saw the same thing. It wasn't Tamar vibrating low. It was them. The live begins with Shaun loud, confident, and embarrassingly comfortable speaking on family trauma he has no history in. He sits next to Towanda, talking like he's the spiritual gatekeeper of the Braxton dynasty. He says they don't deal with wicked spirits, they don't feed negativity, and they only match with high vibration people. And without saying her name, everyone knows exactly who he means. Tamar.Towanda sits beside him nodding, soaking in every word like validation. Like she finally found someone who'll help her rewrite the narrative. Like she finally found someone who'll help her make Tamar look like the bad sister. But here's the problem. They messed up. They forgot the internet never forgets. They forgot the receipts exist. They forgot that we've all been watching this family for a decade. And the truth is simple. If there's anyone who's been draining, using, manipulating, and hiding behind fake positivity, it's not Tamar. It's Towanda. Because while Shaun is busy preaching energy and frequency alignment, let's talk about the real frequency in that house. The frequency that rings every time a credit card is swiped, every time a bill is due, every time Tamar has to rescue her sister financially. The energy they keep talking about, it changes real fast when money is involved. But they don't mention that part on their spiritual lev. Let's rewind. For years, Tamar Braxton helped Towanda financially. Not once, not twice years. She let Towanda use her credit card. She paid her phone lines. She loaned her money. She even paid Towanda's down payment for her home. You don't do that for someone you hate. You don't do that for someone with a wicked spirit. You don't sacrifice like that for someone whose energy is dangerous, but jealousy makes people blind. And guilt makes them loud. Towanda and Shaun sit in that live, calling Tamar negative, calling her exhausting, calling her a drain on their peace. While sitting inside a house Tamar literally helped fund. Imagine calling someone toxic while using the Wi-Fi they paid for. Imagine preaching vibration while ignoring the vibration of debt collectors calling sis, where's Tamar's money? Yet here they are, going live, playing Holy Dot while the real story is far uglier. And let's talk about the wedding. The moment everything cracked open. On national TV, Towanda pretended Tamar didn't show up. Pretended she was disappointed. Pretended Tamar let her down like always. But later, receipts exposed something else. Tamar wasn't invited. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't miscommunication. It was intentional. It was sneaky. It was jealousy dressed as disappointment. Towanda lied for sympathy, and then used Shaun as her emotional bodyguard to keep the lie alive. Because when Shaun talks, he doesn't talk like a man who knows the Braxtons. He talks like a man who only knows Towanda's version. He talks like a man who's been fed stories, not truth. He talks like someone who wants relevance, not healing. But the real breaking point wasn't the live. It was the moment the receipts resurfaced, the bankruptcy. Filing listing Tamar as a creditor. Phone bill 4 years unpaid. The down payment never. Returned. The credit card usage never reimbursed. Lies about the wedding exposed on camera. And the worst part? After all of this, they still turn around, go live, and position themselves as the victims of Tamar's low vibration. Let's be clear. There is nothing low vibration about paying your sister's bills. There is nothing wicked about giving someone money you earned. There is nothing toxic about calling out the truth, You know what is low vibration? Using someone financially while accusing them of spiritual darkness. Lying to the public about why you excluded your sister. Gaslighting the world into believing you are the victim. And dragging your own blood on social media for attention. Towanda didn't look enlightened in that live. She looked exposed. She looked guilty. She looked like a woman who's been hiding behind excuses for years. And Shaun? He looked like a man who should have stayed silent. Because this is not his battle. This is decades of sisterhood pain, jealousy, trauma, and rivalry. This is a story he stepped into late, without facts, without context. Without compassion, he was loud, but he wasn't right, because the truth is undeniable. Tamar Braxton has always been the family scapegoat. Anytime anything happens, Tamar is the problem. Tamar is dramatic. Tamar is emotional. Tamar is unstable. But the question is, if Tamar is so awful, why does Towanda keep coming back to borrow things? Why does Towanda keep taking money? Why does Towanda keep using her credit? Why does Towanda keep needing Tamar? Because Tamar isn't the problem. Tamar is the resource. Towanda is the one draining. And Shaun is the one defending the drain. The live wasn't about energy. It wasn't about spirituality. It wasn't about peace. It was about control. It was about guilt. It was about shifting blame before the truth came out, but the truth always finds a way out. And trust me, what came next exposed everything. The truth didn't just slip out. It exploded out. Because once people remembered the real financial history between Tamar Braxton and Towanda Braxton, the entire vibration sermon collapsed like a paper house in a storm. Let's start with the moment that changed everything, the down payment confession. When Tamar said she paid Towanda's down payment, the internet froze. But it was Towanda's reaction that exposed her spirit more than anything she or Shaun said on live. Towanda didn't deny it. She didn't defend it. She didn't correct it. She laughed. A sarcastic, unapologetic, careless laugh. The laugh of someone who knows she took advantage and got away with it. And when Tamar asked for the money back, Towanda didn't argue. She didn't reason. She didn't even flinch because she already knew what she did behind the scenes. She listed Tamar as a creditor in her bankruptcy. That means one thing: Towanda never planned to pay her back. Not in months. Not in years. Not ever. She took the money, smiled for the cameras, then wiped the debt clean under the court system, while still calling Tamar negative energy. That isn't spiritual enlightenment. That's spiritual warfare with a side of financial manipulation. But it gets worse. While Shaun is online preaching about high vibrations, the internet remembers something else. The 4 years. Towanda spent paying her cell phone bill with Tamar's credit card. Not 1 month. Not 6 months. Not a temporary emergency. 4 whole years. 4 whole years. Multiple phone lines. Multiple bills. Multiple excuses. But Towanda still calls Tamar exhausting. The only thing exhausted was Tamar's wallet. And through all of this, every loan, every credit card swipe, every bill, every down payment, Tamar kept quiet. Tamar stayed loyal. Tamar protected her family. Tamar never exposed Towanda publicly, but Towanda's gratitude came in the form of a live where she and Shaun called Tamar wicked. Dark, low, toxic, draining, negative energy. The hypocrisy is louder than Shaun's entire monologue. Because if Tamar is so full of darkness, why did Towanda keep benefiting from her light? Why did she run to Tamar every time she needed help? Why did she use Tamar's card when her own credit failed? Why did she lean on Tamar when she couldn't stand alone? People don't borrow from demons. People don't trust wicked spirits with their biggest financial needs. People don't turn to darkness when they're drowning, but Towanda did. Over and over. And then turned around and demonized the very person who saved her. And let's talk about Shaun. Because his mouth was working overtime. Shaun talks like a man who wants to be the Braxton family spokesperson. He talks like he knows the history. He talks like he has the right to call Tamar anything he wants. But this isn't his legacy. This isn't his battle. This isn't his trauma. This isn't his sisterhood. He didn't grow up with Tony, Tracy, Trina, Michael, and Tamar. He didn't navigate the jealousy, the favoritism, the childhood pain, the fame imbalance. He wasn't in the original Braxton house. He wasn't there through the early years of struggle. He is speaking from the outside, looking in while Tamar is speaking from the inside, struggling out. And that's why people are furious. Because Shaun took a seat at a table he doesn't belong at. If this was truly about spirituality, Shaun would have stayed silent. If this was truly about peace, Towanda would have called Tamar privately. If this was truly about love, they wouldn't have gone live. But this wasn't about peace. This was about punishment. A public punishment of Tamar for daring to shine brighter. For daring to have talent. For daring to be loved. For daring to call out the truth. For daring to be honest about her trauma. For daring to stop enabling her sister's behavior. Towanda's frequency speech wasn't about healing. It was about hiding jealousy. Hiding guilt. Hiding financial motives. Hiding the real reason she distanced herself from Tamar. Because when someone has helped you financially for years, it's hard to look them in the eye. Unless you villainize them first. And that's exactly what Towanda is doing. She's writing history to ease her conscience. She's using spiritual language to avoid accountability. She's framing Tamar as the problem, so she doesn't have to face the mirror. But the internet sees through it. Because when you strip the spiritual talk away, Towanda's actions show a pattern. Using people, using credit, using stories, using sympathy, using bankruptcy, using silence, using lies on TV, using emotional manipulation, using Tamar until she had nothing left to take. And now that Tamar finally removed herself, now that Tamar stopped paying, stopped giving, stopped rescuing, suddenly she's wicked. Suddenly she's dark energy. Suddenly she doesn't vibrate high enough. Suddenly she's the problem. The only thing Tamar did was pull her power back. And that scares Towanda, because without Tamar's financial help, without Tamar's emotional support, without Tamar's presence to blame, Towanda has to face something she's avoided for years. Her own reflection. This is why she partnered with Shaun for that live. This is why she leaned on him for backup. This is why she let him speak the words she doesn't have the courage to say. Because it's easier for someone else to call Tamar the villain than to admit you've been the villain all along. And this is the sad truth about the Braxton family dynamic. Every sister has issues. Every sister carries trauma. Every sister plays a role. But Tamar has always been the easiest one to blame. She's emotional. She's expressive. She's outspoken. And that makes her the perfect scapegoat. But this time, the world isn't buying it, because receipts don't lie. Court documents don't lie. Phone bills don't lie. History doesn't lie. Towanda's frequency. Speech didn't expose TAMAR. It exposed TOWNDA. It exposed the jealousy. It exposed the manipulation. It exposed the lies. It exposed the financial dependency. It exposed the spiritual hypocrisy. It exposed the role Shaun plays in keeping the narrative alive. And it exposed one more thing. Tamar's real crime was never her energy. It was her generosity. Because people will use your kindness until they resent it. They will take your help until they hate you for it. They will drain you financially, emotionally, spiritually, and when you finally walk away, they will call you the villain. But the truth stands. Tamar Braxton is not the wicked spirit. Tamar is the one who kept the lights on. Tamar is the one who paid the bills. Tamar is the one who gave and gave and gave until she had nothing left to give. Towanda didn't protect her vibration. She protected her narrative, and that's the real story. And that's the real story.